Good afternoon and welcome to the Mavs Edge Employer Internship panel. I'm Kimberly Garasky, the program facilitator for the Mavs Edge Internship program in the Lockheed Martin Career Development Center. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are excited about the group of employers who have agreed to join us today, and we know you'll gain a lot from their experience. You may begin sending questions to the panel at any time during the event using the Ask a Question button. We'll choose several student questions near the end of the panel to discuss. Before we hear from our panelists, I'd like to bring your attention to the chat box where we have provided a list of events and services for you. Please take a moment to visit that area and save that information. To quickly highlight a few items, the virtual All Majors Job and Internship Fair is next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 1 to 5 p.m. You'll be able to network with nearly 100 employer representatives during this virtual job fair. You can register and complete your profile today at the link provided. We also encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn. You'll find additional information regarding job opportunities, tips for obtaining internships, event information, and introductions to our Edge employer partners. We've also created a student internship networking group that you're invited to join. So those links are also available in the chat. The moderator for today's panel is David Powers. He is the Assistant Director of Internships in the Career Center. And I'll now turn the presentation over to David and our panelists.
Thank you, Kimberly. Welcome again to our employer panelists, and good afternoon to our audience. As Kimberly mentioned, I'm David Powers. I assist our employer partners with developing internship programs and direct our Mavs Edge internship program in the Career Center here at UTA. We're really excited that you joined us this afternoon. We'd like to begin by giving our panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their programs. We do have one employer panelist that might be joining us on the fly. If so, that's great. We'll work them in and get that introduction in as well. But let's meet our panelists and hear a bit about their current programs. Ray, would you care to get us started, please?
Oh, definitely. So my name is Ray Gibbons. I'm a State Farm agent. Actually been with State Farm 10 years, 1 year as an agent. So just learning the ropes of agency, but I took advantage and partnered up with UTA. I have currently 2 marketing interns. Loving the experience and seeing the growth from my marketing interns. So I'm just thankful to be here. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you. Jillian?
Hi, I'm Jillian Hawkins. I'm with Gorman, Trubitt, or LGT is usually easier to remember. We're a public accounting firm out here in Dallas, in uptown Dallas. I didn't go to UTA, but I'm from Arlington, lived there for a long time. LGT is about a little over 100 people, so we're a mid-sized firm. Not super tiny, but not super huge by any means. So we have a internship program that we've had for years and years that we look for audit and tax interns for our audit and tax teams during what we call busy season in public accounting. So during, tax season, spring. So we look to bring in about 10 interns, give or take, every spring for that, as well as a summer program that's a little smaller. I've been with the company for a little over 8 years now in recruiting and HR. I am not an accountant. I can tell you all about it. So that's us in a nutshell.
Thanks a lot. And again, thank you all for sharing your time with us today. So let's start by talking about the elephant that's been in everyone's room for the last, I don't know, six months or so, the pandemic. How has the pandemic affected your industry and your internship programs? Ray, do you care to start us there, please?
So definitely the pandemic has kind of put a halt on a few things, but we definitely take the precautions here as a State Farm agent. We're not open to the public. We're still servicing the public, and we can do that in different ways. Whether they're coming in and drop off a payment, they can drop that through the slit of our door just to avoid any kind of keep the social distance away. And then also for my marketing interns, when they step in, we take the precautions, make sure that I keep my social distance from them. We still have the learning experience, so they are in the office, so they're getting the full experience of, working in the office. We still dress like we are visiting customers. I think that's important for them to learn that aspect as far as, if they do want to go to the corporate side, so that way they can understand the business etiquettes of things they need to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, as far as our internship program and everything, I guess the pandemic really took off in March. We did have interns at that time. We didn't cancel internships or move anyone back or anything. We didn't have any layoffs or pay cuts or anything. So we've been pretty business as usual. Public accounting is a pretty stable industry to get into. You have to do your taxes and you have to get your audits. So we've been fortunate enough to not really have to change anything other than how we're working. So we've been about 95% of our workforce has been working remotely since March. I'm at my house right now. I may or may not be wearing sweatpants on the bottom, but
we won't ask anybody.
but we have been pretty much remote, ever since March, and we have plans to start giving people the option to come back into the office in October. We actually recently renovated our office, so it's opening back up in October. We're giving people the option if they want to come in. Some people want to get out of their house. Other people are like, no, I want to stay home. So we've pretty much left it up to folks, what they want to do. We're really trying to, be safety first and but still give people the option if they do want to come in. So that's our plan through the end of the year at least. And then our big intern class starts in January. So we're a little touch and go. We're kind of taking things day by day, but definitely don't have plans to postpone or cancel any internships. If we need to go virtual, we have the technology to do that. So that's kind of our plan B if plan A doesn't, work out for us.
Thank you. Welcome, Hayden. Good afternoon.
Hey, David. Thank you. Sorry about the mix-up.
It's great to see you. We were just talking about the pandemic, so we'll just blame everything on the pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
It's complicated, right? Would you care to do a quick introduction, and we'll cycle back into the questions, please?
Absolutely. Thank you all for your patience. I appreciate that. So my name's Hayden Moore. I work on the university relations team at GM Financial. The last 6 months have just been a whirlwind for all of us. We've been able to adjust well and excited to begin recruiting again in this new normal that we find ourselves in, and definitely excited to share about the opportunities that we have moving forward at GM Financial.
Thank you. Probably the question I receive most often, and I know that we heard in our student panel yesterday, is what in the world can I do to help myself stand out? Especially, our students are prepping to attend fairs, attend virtual fairs. We know that you guys see obviously a lot of students. You have a lot of candidates. So would you have any tips on, how they can put their best foot forward? Maybe what makes them memorable? How might they be able to stand out for you? Ray, do you mind to kick us off, please?
I'd say the biggest thing is, definitely have someone look over your resume. I think that's important. Finding ways for yourself to stand out. What are you doing to separate yourself from everybody else? And then not only that, if you move forward with a phone interview, have a presence of energy. I know the 2 interns that I selected, I remember their phone interview just due to their energy, and I knew what they can probably bring into my office, and that pretty much led me to a decision to pick them.
Thank you. Jillian?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Ray said as far as energy goes. If you show, we want to see that you're interested and you want to come work for us. So if you're bored or, not into it, we're going to pick up on that. So the more interest you can show, we love to see that. My industry might be a little different than all I know is public accounting recruiting, which is kind of its own beast. But another thing is we really want you to know what you want. The more you can tell us, like, I want to do audit versus tax, I want spring versus summer, I want this location, or whatever the criteria may be, that's just even more helpful for us. When people show up and they're like, well, I don't know, I could do whatever, we're not sure what category to put you in.
Right.
So I know it's hard to decide everything, especially if you're maybe just started in the major, or you really don't know a whole lot, but that's your chance to ask questions and then make those decisions. So kind of the more you can figure out before you really get deep into interviewing and stuff, definitely the easier, on our end.
Thank you. Hayden, how can candidates stand out for you?
Yeah, great question. So whenever we have a candidate that's interviewing and they have done some research on the company. So in the same way, we're trying to find candidates that are a good fit for us. If you're able to, in the interview, to express why we are a good fit for you, based on the research you might have done about the company, it really shows that kind of like Jillian was just saying, it tells us that like you put some thought into this and that we aren't just one of like, oh, just anybody give me an internship, but I have chosen you guys as well, and I would really appreciate the opportunity for an internship. I think that helps me stand out when I'm speaking to candidates.
Kind of as a follow-up, I know a lot of questions are concerned with how much is too much, right? You know, when you cross that line of sort of being an annoyance, you know, I've stalked your LinkedIn, I'm sending you LinkedIn messages, I'm sending you email messages. What would you recommend to students who are trying to walk that fine line of showing interest but not, you know, not being an annoyance or a pest? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is going to vary based on the recruiter. You want to use, while we're in a virtual space, you want to use the same social norms that you might use in person, in the same way that you're not going to continue just to, you know, maybe overcrowd. You know, I think a good way to approach it is depending upon if you've had a connection with the recruiter in the past, say we met at a career fair and then we connected on LinkedIn, to then reach out, you know, whenever a job that is of your interest, and just say, hey, I really enjoyed getting to hear about your company, saw this position, think that my background would fit well for it. I think that's totally appropriate. I think whenever you're just kind of reaching out all the time for every little position that you see, you might be spreading your opportunity a little thin there.
Thank you. Other thoughts about walking that line of showing interest and being overly interested, if that's possible?
Yeah, I was gonna, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Julie.
No, you go ahead, Ray.
I was thinking the same approach like Hayden, taking a subtle approach, whether, you know, we're now in a virtual environment, is okay, yeah, you can scour the social media platforms, and it's okay if you can, you know, adapt to something that we're posting and then you kind of bring it up in a conversation. Just taking a subtle approach and just knowing that you're doing the research and you've been taking the initiative to show that you do want this position and that you're doing a little research. So just don't go
and
over.
I was just going to say to kind of save some of that knowledge for the interview, because a question I always ask is like, what do you know about us? Why did you want to talk to us today? And so that's when you can say, like Hayden said, you know, oh, I've done research and, you know, this is why I'm interested in your company and why I think I'd be a good fit. And that's when you can really, you know, let all that come out.
Thank you. You know, we tell students all the time, network, right, in your job search. And we're talking with 3 networking professionals here, without a doubt. That's what you guys I know do all day, every day. But it's scary. You know, it's scary for students. Depending on your personality, if you're introverted, it's scary. A lot of students don't know how to start to take that first step to develop a professional network. Would anyone like to provide just a few tips regarding how you might start that process, maybe even the value of the network?
Yeah, I think networking is super valuable. I have a network of just people I've met, you know, throughout my time in public accounting, but I'll email when I have questions or need something. So I think it's a great resource to have. At this point in your college careers, I think a great way to kind of start building that network is through organizations on campus. So if you're part of a sorority or a club or any kind of like extracurricular group where I know there's specific, you know, accounting club or whatever, that's a great way to meet people that you have something in common with these people or you wouldn't be in the same organization. So that's a great place to start, is at those campus events, getting involved with, you know, stuff you're interested in, and then just meeting people that way. It's a little more organic, not quite as scary as just showing up at some, you know, quote unquote networking event or whatever. Professors, career services, other great resources to kind of start networking. You know, speaking for myself, but like your accounting professors, you know, they'll have connections, they'll have experience. So just letting them know, you know, hey, I'm interested in an internship. Is there any recommendations or advice you have for me? Just kind of starting those conversations. I say, you know, be proactive with that and just getting involved in whatever you can get involved in.
Any other thoughts on baby steps toward building your network?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to share. So I just think it's important to know the why the networking. Like, I'm an introvert, so I'm not like, oh yeah, let's go network. But it is, let's go have a conversation with someone where maybe 95% of the conversations won't facilitate into anything, right? But it is incredibly valuable. And just for my own self, for my own experience, I've never had a job, full time at least, where I didn't have a prior connection of somewhere to where I could stand out, and as my resume kind of stands out in the list of other resumes. So I would say who you know, and is almost, depending upon the background, you might be in a highly technical role, but it's almost as important as what you know. And so it's incredibly valuable to understand that it is valuable, or you could just say, I'm not going to do it. But then also, networking happens and you don't even realize it. It could be the network of friends that you have right now at school, or it could be, the student organization you're in. Like Jillian was just saying, I was on an information session this morning with UTA, and a young lady asked, she was like, hey, like, where do I start? I feel like I don't network. And I was like, hey, you're networking right now. I have your name right now, and we're discussing about your background and things like that. So I would just understand the importance of it. Don't overthink it. Just be known and communicate your qualifications.
Yeah. And just to piggyback what Hayden and Jillian saying is, always present yourself like you're having an opportunity. And what I mean by that, whether it's social media or you're speaking with someone, you want them to kind of remember you, like, hey, I see Ray always smiling. I see Ray always speaking to someone. I think that's a good guy. So that way, that also helps you with networking. They can be like, okay, I see his character, and I can probably go to bat for him and say a word to my boss if there's a position open.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We always just talk to students about, you never know who's watching, right? Or where that opportunity is going to come from. I think that's important to keep in mind. Ray, I know you were really happy with a couple of the interns that you had in the summer. I was curious if you wouldn't mind sharing, without necessarily putting them out there, if you don't want to, what qualities or skills did you see develop, in your interns, and what kind of impact they've had on your organization?
So when I partnered with the Career Center, I was really looking for some marketing interns to kind of help with my presence on social media. And I got lucky and I selected 2. And just to see the growth from July till now, it's been really amazing. So they're constantly doing posts on my social media. I'm getting a lot of feedback from it. And I have other agents reaching out to me, asking me, what am I doing? So I can really see the growth, what my marketing interns are doing. I even have leadership reaching out to me, asking me, how are you coming up with this content? So they have a different way of thinking to kind of grasp a different audience than I would. So I'm really appreciating everything that they're doing for me.
Thank you. The search, I think most interns or candidates, students that I speak with on LinkedIn or interact with are concerned about their search, making sure that they're seeing things. Jillian, how would you recommend students go about identifying or finding internship opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. I know y'all are on Handshake, which has just been so great from the recruiter side as well as students. I think they rolled that out a couple of years ago, but I mean, I think that's just the best resource. I think most companies are posting their positions, on Handshake. It's real easy to search by major type of position, that kind of thing. I know sometimes, I believe my contact information and our company page and everything is available there. So if you want to connect, directly to the recruiter, you can. But I would definitely start with Handshake for internships, and we post full-time positions there as well. I don't know so much for internships, but for full-time hires, LinkedIn is what we use most. Another great resource. And when we were talking about networking, and Hayden mentioned he was more of an introvert, I'm an extrovert. I could talk to a brick wall, but I think your online presence is important too. So that's the way you can kind of You know, if you're not ready to like get out there and talk to people, building up your LinkedIn profile, your handshake profile, making sure all your ducks are in a row, you know, virtually and online is an important piece to that as well, so people can find you. Because I know recruiters can search, you know, resumes and students on Handshake as well. I would definitely say to start with Handshake, start with career services, you know, what different options they have for you there, talking with someone, maybe doing a resume workshop or a mock interview, or just what different events. I know US Career Services has a lot of great resources available too.
Thank you. Any other thoughts about using Handshake, possibly things that you've seen from student profiles, or even those profiles on LinkedIn? Is there anything that specifically really stands out to you when you're looking through LinkedIn profiles or Handshake profiles that students might want to make sure that they add or include?
Yeah, I know you can upload your resume, so I think you can put in information just on Handshake, but I think it's really nice when students upload resumes, and if you want to take personal information like address or something, you know, off of that, that's totally fine. But I think that's a nice way, you know, we can go in and download it and save it. So if you don't have your resume fully uploaded, you may want to, you know, just take off your address and upload a copy on there. That would be helpful.
Any other thoughts about use of social media or tips or related to LinkedIn, Handshake?
I was gonna say one thing that I did look at was I try to compare, you know, what they had in Handshake and then what they had in LinkedIn, just to see if there's some consistency there, and then seeing, you know, how important it is for them to have, you know, information in LinkedIn, so that way I can get to search them, and just that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, and I would, sorry, I would just say if you don't have a LinkedIn or a Handshake, have one. You know, it's pretty valuable at this time that we're in.
Right.
Yeah, I guess step one, make your profile.
Yeah.
And see, this is great to hear. You're hearing it. You're hearing it from the employers. They're looking at your accounts. They see your LinkedIn. They see your Handshake, your account. So make sure that they're ready to go. I know another concern, major concern of students is timing. Right? When should I start looking? What's the time frame for your programs look like? Hayden, you care to talk a little bit about maybe your recruiting windows, your time frames, and how that looks for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the best time to pursue an internship is right now, like we said, through networking. So that way, whenever those positions come available, you know, you've already got the ground laid, and you're, you know, a consideration for the internship that is the right fit for you. For GM Financial, you know, we're kind of laying the seeds. You know, we're going to have internships. We're excited. We're going to start promoting those probably more generally right now. And then here in the next couple of weeks to October, we'll start having a few of the absolutely, like, we're going to have these internships already posted. And then look for the rest of them to be posted in December to January. And the hiring timeline, I mean, for certain roles, for like sales, we're going to try to get those a little earlier, November, December, early to mid-January. But every other one, we'll probably start the interviewing process December for offers to go out at the new year in 2021. I would just give a quick plug. What's really cool about creating a profile at gmfcareers.com, if you're interested, you can indicate your interest and you'll be notified when positions of your interest come open. So if you say, I'm interested in internships, you'll get an email saying, hey, this internship just got posted. So just a quick plug to that. That's a good way to make sure you don't miss out on our internships that are coming.
Thank you. Ray, I know that you have another call that you're going to need to jump on at 1:30. I wanted to, if you had time, maybe throw one more question your way, and feel free to bounce out, you know, whenever you need to. But I was curious if you might talk quickly about how you supervise and evaluate your interns. What kind of evaluation process do you use once you bring them on board?
So the first thing I do whenever they started, I want to sit down. I want to really kind of get to know them outside of interview presence. So I wanted to kind of get to know them, what they want to get out of this position, and then what are their main goals as far as, you know, when you do graduate or after you graduate. So that way I can understand how can I be able to be a tool to kind of help them get ready for that next step. So that was the first thing I did. And after doing that, it was easy for me to lay out exactly, you know, what kind of leeway I want to give with my marketing interns. I pretty much didn't hold supervision on them. All I asked them for them to do is just make sure you're here on time, make sure that you're dressed presentable. And then I pretty much just went through all the details as far as like if you answer a phone or all the compliance things that State Farm has in place.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on supervision and evaluation or specific processes that you guys do?
I do hold an evaluation once a month. We kind of just evaluate, you know, the progress of where they started and where they at now. And, you know, I kind of challenge them every evaluation to improve on a certain level. And I actually have a form I fill out for them to kind of show them, you know, what have I seen that they're doing well? Where do I see some improvement is needed? So that way they can get some feedback and also some coaching opportunities to get better.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, we assign like I wouldn't say a buddy, but maybe like a partner that will be a resource to our interns throughout the summer. So this isn't a leader, it's more of a peer partner. Can you hear me? Oh, it's more of a peer partner that works with the interns throughout the summer. But then also we have designed not only with the manager that they're working with, I believe it's bi-weekly, kind of a bi-weekly touch base. And then we also, as the university relations team, kind of touch base about midway through the summer just to see how everything's going and get their feedback.
Thank you. Jillian, any thoughts on supervision or evaluation?
Yeah, we have maybe a little more formal type structure to it as well. You have your supervisor, who's the person kind of assigning you work, helping you with things. So we do a formal, or well, it's not super formal, but like an official 30 and 60 day evaluation that has, I think, 5 or 6, you know, little criteria points on there. Things like teamwork, communication, dependability, and as well as like technical skills. So it's not just looking at like, oh, did they do a perfect tax return or perfect audit section. We definitely kind of evaluate full picture, you know, everything you're contributing to the team. But outside of that, pretty much after every audit, engagement, job, or tax return, you know, you get feedback on how you did on that particular project. So we have a kind of constant feedback model, but we do a 30 and a 60 day kind of sit down with your supervisor and go through everything, as much to give you feedback as to get, you know, questions and you know, things from you, so you're never like, how am I doing? I have no idea. We definitely check in.
You know, I know most times, obviously for most companies, they like to utilize their internship program as a talent pipeline. I mean, their hope is to bring those folks on full time. And of course, for students, you know, that's the hope in a lot of cases as well. Although some students might be using it to explore, you know, different kinds of career opportunities or different paths. You know, everyone has that hope that it might lead to a full-time position. Jillian, could you talk a bit about, you know, full-time opportunities and how a student might be able to put themselves in the best position for a full-time opportunity if those exist?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it's pretty much our only pipeline for entry-level hires. So we don't do a ton of hiring outside of our internship program for our, you know, staff level positions. So that's why we love bringing in interns. We want you to be successful. We want you to come on full-time. So it's definitely the goal of the program. We're really flexible as far as like your plans go. So we've got some folks that will like go home Friday as an intern, come back Monday as full-time after the internship, or some people, you know, have a master's program or something to finish up. So we'll make that offer. They'll go back to school for a semester or a year and then come back to us, you know, whenever they're ready. So we're pretty flexible there. But as far as the internship goes, we're doing the same training and work and stuff as if you did come on, you know, full time. So after the internship, you should be able to roll right into a full-time position, really no additional training or anything. So you're treated like staff from day one. So it is kind of a, you know, extended interview period. You definitely want to put your best foot forward during the internship, because that's what we're evaluating for, you know, if we want to make that full-time hire decision, is how you're performing during the internship. I will say our last class of interns, we hired them all. So it was 100% success rate. So that, you know, was really exciting for us.
Hayden, any thoughts on the talent pipeline and transitioning to full-time roles?
Yeah, for sure. So at GM Financial, we have the goal that we would convert 50%, at least 50% of our interns into full-time roles. So definitely an initiative there. It is a strategy. It's a pipeline strategy to get us in the company, or gets great talent into the company. But like, it's like a 2-month tryout for us. But it's also a 2-month tryout for the interns, like to figure out, hey, is this a company that I feel like I would want to work for? Do they stand for the same things I stand for? What's the work-life balance like? Do I enjoy what I do here? Or even, and not only for the company, but what about profession? Like, say you're studying to do this, and then you have 3 months of working in it, and you're kind of like, I don't know if I really want to do this for the rest of my life. So it's definitely valuable in multiple ways.
Right, and I think that's overlooked a lot of times as part of the experience, the whole career direction and career advising piece, what you can get from investing that time.
Yeah.
Same way with, other kinds of experiential learning like observation. You might observe a role for 6 hours and realize, oh, that's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have either of you had an internship as part of your education, or?
Can I say no? Is that okay?
It's fine, yeah.
I can make something up real quick.
It's just a question I always ask. Right?
I kind of took a weird path to where I am now. So no, I didn't do an internship when I was in school. And I only went to one career fair kind of on accident. So.
Okay. Hayden, did you have?
I'm right there with Jillian. I kick myself, and I use this as like a cautionary tale that I didn't do an internship. I just didn't have any interest in that stuff. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't have anybody to kick me in the tail and say, hey, dude, how about you go get an internship? Or, hey, how about you attend a career fair? It just wasn't something I had any interest in doing. So it came back to haunt me later. So
do what we say, not what we do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, they say the burnt hand teaches best, and allow us to say, you know what? You should pursue an internship and you should attend career fairs. And the fact that you're here right now is already, you're steps ahead of where I was for sure. So
I was an education major, so I did student teaching. That was more or less my internship. And I did do 6 hours of observation in the medical field and learned that
not for
I was
you.
not for anything medicine related, right? So thanks a lot. Is there anything that you would like for the students to know about your programs? Any kind of pitch that you would like to give, or any information that you would just like to share that we really haven't addressed up to this point?
Yeah, we're currently looking for one more spring 2021, so to start in this coming January, audit intern. So if you are interested in that, it is posted on Handshake. We just got some more work in and decided we need another one. So that opportunity is available. We'll be at the career fair, I think it's next week. Yes. The virtual fair, we will have a booth there. If you want to talk, to myself or some other colleagues more than welcome to sign up for that on Handshake as well. And we'll be around in the spring too. So definitely if you're interested, hop on one of those events or just, shoot me an email or apply on Handshake.
Thank you. Hayden?
Yeah, and our internship is a 10-week summer internship. So it starts the first week of June and it ends the second week of August. I get a lot of questions. Do you have a spring or do you have a fall? Unfortunately, we're only at the summer. And it is for students that are currently in school. So like if you graduate in August 2021, you're good. Unfortunately, if you graduate in May, well, not unfortunately, when you graduate in May, you're going to be looking for full-time roles. So, and we'll be looking for full-time roles for you for that. So, yeah. And then just one more thing. I just, there's like a stereotype of internships, like on TV shows and movies. It's like they're treated really badly and they get their job is to get the coffee and to get the lunch order, but you better not get it wrong or you're going to get like verbal abuse. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I pride myself on the fact that we have a meaningful internship, one that provides the interns with good experience. One, because we want them to work for us. We don't want to like verbally abuse our interns. We wouldn't want to verbally abuse anybody, but, you know, especially not interns. So, no, it's a great internship. It's meaningful. I think we are able to provide a meaningful work experience, and would love to be able to connect. We'll be at the career fair next week as well about possibilities for the summer.
Thank you, and I know you guys have been really supportive of our Mavs Edge internship program. And I just want students to know that one of the reasons that we created that program is to create quality experiences for students. So. Kimberly, who you've met, vets every position. We very closely review and approve every position that's posted, and there's a pretty stringent criteria for postings, including supervision, making sure that position is in alignment with your career goals and that sort of thing. So students know they're going to have a strong experience. I think that's really important to understand. Well, that really concludes the question and answer portion of our panel. I want to thank our panelists again. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's a busy time and technology can be tricky. So thank you for jumping on. We're really grateful for that. And I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly, please, to close things.
Yes, thanks to everyone. Thanks to all the students for attending this panel today. Again, you'll find all the links that we mentioned at the beginning in the chat box for the career fair that's next week, our LinkedIn page, and other resources there. So check that out before you sign off. And again, thank you, and good luck with the rest of your semester.
I think there was one question in the chat about the deadline to register for the fair. Y'all know off the top of your head?
Yeah, I don't believe that we have a deadline. I know it's a three-day event. So really they'll be able to register right up until pretty much the start of the fair. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks again. You guys
Thank
have a great week.
All right,
Hey, thank you guys so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.